But yeah, you're right. In the Bureau of Air Commerce report, it says appreciable amount of time.
Appreciable, because obviously they didn't want to take that as the exact period of time. They didn't want to write down 5 minutes.
Right.
I don't know. Appreciable amount of time is just open for interpretation.
I think everything in this case is open for interpretation. We should interpret it. 30 minutes.
So, great question coming in about has this previous scans been done in this area to cross-reference with? And the short answer is yes, but not side scan sonar. So the Okeanos Explorer was actually here last year. And 2 years ago?
It's 2017, I think.
2017?
I could be wrong. Could be wrong.
Well, they were here previously at some period of time. And they actually multi-beamed this area for us. So we have a pretty nice...
This was 2017, I
okay.
believe.
So 2 years ago. And they made a pretty nice map for us. So if you look in Channel 3, you can actually see that map, or at least a zoomed-in section of it. And that's really helpful for us because as Argus flies pretty low above the seafloor, that kind of gives us a heads up in terms of are we going up a slope, down a slope, along a slope. It helps us avoid any potential obstacles or run into things. But we also have a forward-facing sonar.
I think we can start the turn
that you can't see on any of our channels. That is about 10, 20, 30, 40, about 50 or so meters in front of us. That helps us avoid any potential obstacles.
Wow.
We could start the turn whenever...
Roger.
Okay. It's okay. I got a Roger from somewhere.
That was me, Nat.
Okay. Well, can pass that along to cut the data.
Dr. Megan, you sound pretty pumped.
I'm so sorry. Of course, our audience doesn't know, but we're also doing work for a documentary while on this trip. And Russell Matthews, our Director of Air Sea Heritage, was just in here filming some scenes, looking intent upon entering and exiting the control van. So, of course, being very supportive, we were laughing at him.
So, Lonnie, we had talked yesterday about when you really get involved with a historical figure like the captain and the crew of this aircraft, and you kind of...
So you could start to change your heading. I think we're starting to...
wish that things had turned out differently and they'd gotten to make their full impact on aviation and live a full life. In the same vein, when you're reading incident reports and stuff, do you find yourself almost wishing you could communicate to them, no, land there. Don't continue to go back, or don't, you know what I mean? Try and steer them away from...
That's always the theme of some wonderful time travel movies, that you're able to travel back and influence the outcome. But
there's
even with losses and disappearances and so forth, there's usually a positive gain after for what was learned, and then what gets changed, fixed, whatever. And certainly this expedition has brought the flying clippers back to light as great advances in aviation. The men who flew these as pioneers, knowing they were risking, but taking the risk on for the sake of furthering the industry and building a great company. So if everything had gone smoothly and right, we might not know these things.
Right.
We have only one of those clippers left, correct? Or at least that we know that somebody converted to a houseboat, but nobody knows where it is?
That was in the 40s, I believe.
That was a long time ago.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
47,
somebody
I believe.
converted the Brazilian clipper, and it actually went through a photo shoot for a magazine, but then there's absolutely no record of what happened to it after that, unfortunately.
Did they keep the wings on?
I don't think that they would have.
No, that'd be pretty difficult
Yeah.
to park in.
I was
Normal
on some
soil.
model builders website. Model builders love building,
Mm-hmm.
you know, all these planes, and they couldn't find a Sikorsky S-42B, and so they were asking each other. And someone said they could swear that one of these planes was a wreck in one of these airplane graveyards.
Oh yeah, in the desert.
That it was, yeah, in the desert, and they saw it outside a workshop.
I would doubt it.
But, you know, they probably don't know the model numbers
Yeah,
and so forth.
I think that, and this one too, if you take the wings off of it, I think it looks very similar to a lot of other bolt hulls, especially a lot of other Sikorsky boat hulls. And I think that people would be confusing the numbers. It looks very similar to the S-43s. It's just
Right.
not the same size.
You don't see the engines at all.
Oh yeah, and the B looks different than the plain S-42s in that it has a stepped-up hull. Yeah, but with the wings off too. It's hard.
Sorry, what was the difference in the hull between the S-42 and the S-42B?
They made a stepped hull for the B. I mean, I've looked at the differences between the 42 and the 42B, and one was the length of the wing from 114 feet 2 inches to 118 feet 2 inches. A stepped hull.
I thought that the A did have a stepped hull.
I don't know. This was just what they were listing. In
For those viewers who don't know,
and the
what is a stepped
specification.
I
hull?
was going to look it up real quick because I think that the A has a stepped hull.
Oh, you think it does?
I do.
Does a hull have steps?
And it had
A hull
improvements
does
in
have
the
steps.
fairings to reduce drag.
Hey, Lonnie, you have a friend, Shannon, listening.
Oh my goodness, Shannon. That's wonderful, from Tennessee. Right?
She did not say.
Okay, I think she's
Oh,
from
dear.
Tennessee.
Her mom is making dinner, though.
Oh yeah, that's Shannon from Tennessee. Sweet girl.
I hope you guys eat something good. Pizza,
Yeah,
maybe?
Tennessee.
Her mom and I worked together for the Atlanta Olympics.
So for a guest, or excuse me, a viewer who asked if we'd ever come across a whale fall on prior trips, I believe the answer is
I think we have.
maybe.
But like well into its decomposition and being eaten fate, like the bones.
It was
That's
pretty
42,
pretty far along.
1934.
I think off the coast of Oregon, maybe? I don't remember.
Lonnie, we have somebody submitting a Pan Am fun fact quiz for you
Oh,
about,
Ooh.
do you know Captain Ed Music's highest level of aviator certification?
Yes, she does.
Oh,
Absolutely.
She's gotta be.
Absolutely.
It's
she does
Lonnie.
Oh gosh.
let me give Lonnie
think.
just a second
Let me
to
think.
think and work her brain. But
Let me
let me
just-
go back to a previous thing that we were
His
talking
highest,
about.
no, but
Oh, sorry.
tell me again the question. The highest level of certification.
His highest level of aviator certification.
Well, I know he had a Federal Transport Pilot's number B, land and sea license.
That's our answer. We're sticking to it.
Yeah, are they really rated in order of low to high? I mean, I guess the most sophisticated rating, maybe? I don't
Like
know.
the hardest one to get?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the first officer, Sellers, had a Federal Transport Pilot's license, Class 3BC, but not land.
Mm.
So they were, you know, for instance, I have an ACEL and an ACES. I have, one is land, airplane single engine land, and one is airplane single engine sea.
Nice.
ACES, ACEL. So, yeah, I think Uncle Ed had everything you can get.
Hey, Andrew from Colorado. Thanks for listening in. So, Dr. Megan, you were saying something? Was it about the stepped hull?
Yeah, both the S-42 and the S-43, or sorry, yeah, those two planes. The S-42A and the S-42B both had a double-stepped hull.
Double stepped hull.
Double-stepped hull. flying boats need steps in order to break the surface tension of the water when they are taking off. And a step is exactly what you might imagine. If you imagine the bottom of a boat, on the very fast boats, your bottom of your boat will stop, go immediately upwards, and then continue the line. And that upwards area is called a step.
Just a little 90-degree angle underneath it?
Yep, absolutely.
But one of the other differences is this had a long stern that supported the tail unit directly.
That would have been the same.
I don't know, it probably was the same.
Yeah, that would have been the same. I think that the body of the flying boat was the same on both of them. It's just they've changed the wings. And probably,
And
I think they
the
changed
specs
the
a bit.
engines, didn't they?
Well, that.
Well, and on the S-42B, like we've been saying before, they added these 6 fuel tanks to the interior of the hull, and they took out all of the passenger cabin accoutrements and
Well, they left a couple berths for
left a couple berths,
just a
but made
couple
sure
berths,
that they got
yeah.
the weight down. And that was the main thing about the S-42B being long range. They needed to get that weight down.
They wanted everything that was extraneous out of there.
Yep.
I think those are my 2 favorite colors, like neon pink and that blue. It's very Miami Vice, which are my people,
Yep.
because Florida.
So it looks like we're about to start our next line.
We're trucking over there.
Yeah, I was hoping to get a little more before we started to move forward. I don't want to round the turn too much and then we lose data in our survey, but I also don't want to sit here.
Go on holiday.
Nope, no holidays.
Bridge now. We can proceed along the selected line, azimuth 155. Thank you.
Brian, have we got any other questions?
Not just yet.
Brian and I had live connect this morning at 4 a.m. for us
We did.
with ACE Academy in Laconia, New Hampshire, and the kids were very well organized. They had good questions. But
What were
one
some
of the
of them?
questions was, do we expect that we would find bodies down in the wreckage. And I am turning that over to my seatmate Science 1.
What did you
Dr.
answer
Meg.
in the interview?
Then you can substantiate my answer or change it.
Oh, okay.
But we said, well, it was 81 years ago, first of all. Secondly, at those depths, it's very unlikely that we'd find bodies.
That's
And also, yeah, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
No,
No,
I don't
you.
want to add
No,
that
you.
what
It's
I
not
was.
a delicate subject at all.
Well, you know, any organic material is fair game for. That's enough.
Although shoes,
No, but I mean bodies.
yeah,
We're
no.
not expecting to find bodies. We could
No,
find clothing,
Yeah,
artifacts, so forth, but not actual bodies.
That was spot on.
Okay.
That's what I would have said as well.
Okay.
So basically, no. Usually we would expect to find any sort of human remains in enclosed protected spaces. And Ed, like you just mentioned, there's something about the process treatment of leather which makes us find some remnants of remains inside shoes sometimes. However, saying that, bodies really haven't been found, and again, somebody could come and correct me because I don't know every single archaeological site on the face of the planet, but to my knowledge, bodies haven't been found at these extreme depths at all, any sort of remains. So given our knowledge that the aircraft is not enclosed and protected, it would also make us fairly confidently assume that any sort of organic human remains would also not be present. But you're right in assuming that, yes, there would possibly be clothes, personal effects, probably other artifacts from the interior of the aircraft that are recognizable as having human interaction, and things of that nature. Certainly organic material from the aircraft itself, like the doped aluminum painted canvas covering of the wing structures. Although I was having a conversation with Peter Fix this morning. Was it Peter Fix? No, it wasn't. It was somebody else. My apologies. Where it was Eric from the Intrepid Museum, where he was saying that the fabric covered control surfaces would probably have caught fire very easily and very quickly. Not necessarily the plane itself, but those fabric covered flight control surfaces. And if that were the case, then obviously they would not exist underwater. But if it were not the case, then they would exist. So probably the ones from the tail section would still exist, but the ones on the wing section, which would have been directly above the explosion, maybe not so much.
But in the cockpit, forward, maybe. I mean, the burn was to the tail. To the
Well,
rear.
yeah, but the
Yeah.
but the explosion was like almost directly under the wing. So if it shot any flames up whatsoever, the wing structure would have been directly over top of it.
Right. No, I was thinking cockpit controls.
Oh, oh no, I was talking about flight control surfaces
flight
only.
controls, okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, so flight control surfaces meaning the flaps or ailerons
right.
or mainly for audience.
Some questions coming in. The first one's about, do we use a joystick to make Argus move continuously? And the answer to that one is no. Argus is kind of pulled along with the ship.
But we have
I do have the ability to turn Argus,
large
though.
wind control that Summer operates that has a large spring controlled, is that a lever? Push it forward and backwards. Stands up about on this.
We'll call it that. And the next question was, how did everyone get involved with this expedition? Ed, you're up.
So I work as the video operations manager for Ocean Exploration Trust, and in that capacity I design and modify the video system as necessary, and I also staff the vessel. And when we go through the schedule, I'm usually told which legs I'm required for, that they're of such importance that they really want somebody with knowledge, skills, abilities, competencies to be here to handle anything. This is one of those legs. So I was fortunate enough that I didn't have to fight for a spot on this expedition.
Well said.
For me, it really worked out with my schedule. I really didn't know necessarily what this mission was going to be in end of July, August, but I had some other cruises that I was going to be on, and this one filled the time in between, and I was actually really happy. Actually, I dropped another cruise to be on this one, so scheduling worked out, and I'm really excited to be on this one because it's very awesome history, and these people have worked really hard to come out here, and it'd be great to be here in the flesh and watch it all manifest.
Especially as a pilot yourself.
Also appreciate the aviation aspect of it as a pilot myself.
How about you, Dan and Bobby?
I'll go. So we, yeah, I'm on most of the cruises this season, but I'm particularly excited about this one. It's not every day you get to search for archaeological wreck of some kind.
And hopefully complete their story.
Yeah, it's always nice to. Right now we're in the phase of, you know, trying to search, but you can imagine once we come upon it, it'll be a different. Everyone's kind of gets ready to go, and we get down a dive on it. It'll be really, I imagine, many different things. Exciting, somber, what have you. Be nice to see the wreck. I remember we dove on the Coast Trader, and we confirmed the torpedo hole in the side. That was really cool. So going down there, and we've been talking about, oh, this compartment exploded, and did this catch fire, and what have you. It'd be nice to visualize all that and kind of get a full forensic analysis of it.
I got on the vessel as applying to be a lead science communication fellow, which means I was on as a fellow in 2015, and you can apply to come back. I luckily was accepted, and then kind of like Ed, they tell you which leg you're going to be on.
When do you learn that? Before the workshop?
Yep.
Yeah, and you get to meet your colleagues you'll be sailing with then?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I think I found out in February?
Yeah, that's about when we wrap up our staffing.
Yeah.
We have a staffing spreadsheet we go through, and every department has to populate.
How about anybody else? How did you end up on this expedition?
Okay, I'll go. This is Lonnie. I was the original, back in 2014 in May, president of Air Sea Heritage Foundation, Russ Matthews, sent me an email, and I'm not joking. He said, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to help us locate the Samoan clipper that disappeared in 1938. And he said there's a slight urgency to the task because I have to produce a white paper to present at the end of the month. So when I calculated how much time I had, it was 9 days. So I've been working on this project since then, and as the person finding the original documents, the ship's logs, the accident report, and so forth. And I usually don't get to be on the last part of a project where we're actually searching for something. So this is a big thrill for me, and I feel extremely honored to be on this team. So that's my story.
We're honored to have you.
Stick into it.
This is Megan. I have known Russ for about 10 years now, and we have worked together on some projects. He has actually been a diver, scuba diver, on some of my projects with me that have originated on my side, and I've always wanted to be on a project that originated with Air Sea Heritage. So I am an aviation archaeologist. I study almost exclusively aircraft wrecks underwater, and it's a very specialty sort of niche, and we just so happen to be looking for an aircraft underwater. So he decided that when we find the plane, it's going to need some, like Rennie was saying, specialist forensic detailing as to what exactly was going on, and that's sort of my role on here.
So you do a lot of underwater work then, right?
I do a lot of underwater work.
Here's one of my favorite questions for divers. What's your favorite piece of dive gear?
Favorite piece of dive gear?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Actually, it used to be my wetsuit, but then my wetsuit is getting kind of old and needs replacement. So I was gonna say, I actually am looking to replace my, I dive a tech gear rig,
Yeah.
and I was looking to finally replace my old sort of torture device of a harness and get one of those new harnesses that actually have a clip on either side.
Right, to do side mount diving?
No, not to do side mount diving, purely so that you can actually, when you slip the harness over your shoulders, again, I'm making a bunch of motions that you can't see.
No,
when you slip the harness over your shoulders, you have to kind of scooch into one side and then like basically rip all of your skin off to scooch into the other side. And instead, I want to get one of the harnesses that have these
you can clip
clips.
It. Yeah.
And you just clip yourself in, and it sounds amazing. And
but
so
you're diving a backplate and wing?
Yeah.
And is your backplate a Kydex or is it stainless?
It's stainless.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that if I got that, that would be my favorite piece of kit.
Can we can cut the line here and or cut the turn rather, and start the line. So we're going, and then summer our bearing will be 155.
Is our new line 27? No, yeah, 27.
This line we're starting is 27. Yes.
Thank you.
I do predominantly cold water diving, so I like my DUI weight and trim harness.
Oh, I do predominantly warm water diving.
But for warm water, it's so hard because I lose like my dry suit pockets and I don't take a canister light with me. I just feel like it's all compromises. I do take a spool and a lift bag, but I put that at the bottom of my plate. And I normally dive with a steel 130 and a 30 pony tank. And so diving with AL 72s or 80s is hard transition.
Yeah, I have a pair of shorts with pockets and just I load up all my pockets.
Yeah. I also love trauma shears. Great piece of dive gear. So much easier to cut line when you don't have to make it under tension with scissors.
Scissors.
Yeah.
Peyton, we have to hear.
Yeah.
Oh, you're here.
Peyton's amazing turnout. Peyton, did you go to some sort of advanced high school or something? Did you just go to normal high school?
I just went to normal high school. I went to Newport High School.
How'd you end up here?
I did a lot of marine science related stuff. So in high school, I started my first year. It was also the first year our marine science teacher, Mrs. Gray, or Megan Gray, had joined our school, and she had previously run a competition team for her regional National Ocean Science Bowl in California. So that's a marine science trivia competition. So she started a team in our high school to get ready for Orca Bowl, which is actually held at UW.
Orca Bowl.
Yeah. And so I did that 2 years, eventually became president of the club, and then in our last year, we made it to the national level. And so that competition is really cool because it covers a really wide range of marine science. So everything from taxonomy. Oh, there's something in the view.
It's a big rock.
Right up at the top. Floating in the water column.
Oh. Never mind.
It's a little
You think he's going to point out a rock to you?
I thought so.
I think that's a gel.
What is that?
Actually,
Like,
that might be
a star-looking thing?
That's definitely an cephalopod.
Yep. Absolutely.
Ooh.
I can't tell if it's a Dumbo or a vampire squid.
Hard to tell.
Yeah,
The
grabbing some
bouncing's not
captures.
helpful. Knock it off, Summer. I wonder what you call a group of octopus.
Stand
Ooh,
by.
hello, cephalopod.
I really can't get closer with it being out
Yeah,
of frame like that.
no
Sorry, I
worries.
can't do any of that.
Wow, it's just hanging out there.
Maybe if I stand really still, the big metal thing won't notice
Gotta
me.
be octopi, right? It's more than one.
No,
Oct-
because it
it's
is not
octopuses.
a Latin root, I think.
Oh, well, it's not in my book, so no say.
That's a frequent topic of discussion. So very super interested in the biology, and you did this you did the
Yeah.
Orca Bowl.
Yeah, just to jump back into what I was just saying. So it covers a really wide range of topics, everything from oceanography to taxonomy to marine policy, technology, and then obviously biology. And then during that time in high school, I was also volunteering at the Seattle Aquarium, so very like front-facing, interacting with the public, sharing information about like marine organisms and conservation goals. And then from there in high school, I went to UW, started aquatic and fishery sciences as a major, and then was active in my our ROV competition team. So we build underwater robots like the ones Hercules and ROV and Argus are, but on a much smaller scale. And then during high school, I was also doing like some theater. I did FRC, first robotics competition, and all of those, I think, helped in different ways.
Have you ever had like an intro psych class at all?
I have not. Why you ask?
Are you familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs? You ever heard of that?
No.
I've heard of that.
Yes.
Yeah, you seem to have jumped right from, late adolescence to self-actualization by coming onto this vessel. It's just ticking every box of interest you have we're doing on this boat.
Absolutely.
Peyton for president.
Yeah. That's the last thing you...
I don't know if I'm going to make it that far, you guys.
We'll see if you survive a sanctuary's leg. Well, I'm just going to have the AED up here at your
Just
side.
going to have...
Just have you put it on prophylactically before
I
the
like wake
dive.
up, I'm like, where did the octopus go? Please tell me someone took captures.
Right. Come on, flying boat.
Here in the middle of the search area, there's no way.
Yeah. Right, it's impossible. I'm not going to see it at all. There's a cool little yin and yang thing in the center of the mapping data.
Oh, really?
Or maybe that's a duck.
It's a duck.
I see the duck.
Kind of like the thing whether you see a vase or a woman.
I do see more of the duck than the yin and the yang.
Yeah, not curved enough for the yin yang.
That's still pretty neat, though.
So a question coming in about the rocks that we see, if there's something unique to this part of the Pacific, and the answer to that is no.
Volcanoes.
Yep, the Samoan Islands were formed by volcanic activity, and the Pacific is definitely known for volcanic activity. Many people have heard reference to the so-called Ring of Fire. Lots of volcanoes and earthquakes in that area, and quite a few islands in the Pacific that were formed by volcanic activity. So nothing too crazy about the rocks that we have here. We won't be sampling any of the rocks. We will just potentially be taking a sample if and when we find the Samoan Clipper, so we can better understand the degradation of deep sea wreckage such as the Simone Clipper. So, a question to our archaeologist in the back. Someone is asking what advice you might give someone who's interested in getting into the field of ocean archaeology.
Ooh, that's a good question. Archaeology is one of those fields where you can't really expect to do anything with just a bachelor's degree. So after you get your bachelor's degree, I would highly suggest that you go on to your master's degree, and you can do one that's sort of a step towards a PhD, or one where you are planning on stopping at your master's. There's a very good program at East Carolina University, the Maritime History program, double check that, but it's very well oriented to people who then want to join the field. It's a very practical knowledge base that they give. So after you do your master's, you can even internship when you're doing your master's, but there are several CRM firms, which are cultural resource management firms, where you can do projects, archaeology projects, paid archaeology projects, so sort of contract jobs. In fact, 2 of our archaeologists on this trip, besides me, work for Search Inc., which is an underwater archaeology CRM firm. They do terrestrial archaeology as well and museum services. But they take contracts for archaeology jobs. There are also oil and gas firms that hire archaeologists, because archaeologists are needed to look at any sort of oil and gas installation, anytime they want to lay a pipeline, build a rig derrick or anything like that. Any projects where you have to do anything in our territorial waters when you're touching the sea floor, it requires an archaeological investigation for Section 106 purposes. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get into the field and sort of start practicing. Myself, I went the opposite route from CRM, and I actually went into museums. And so I began working with an aviation museum, meanwhile still keeping the ability to do projects on the side. So I work for sort of both ends of the field, and I'm not a CRM archaeologist. So anybody getting in can really do anything that they want to, kind of build themselves a little a path that works for them. But I would say definitely get your master's first.
And what is CRM?
CRM, Cultural Resource Management Firms.
CRM, thanks.
The name of their master's program is the Maritime Studies.
Maritime Studies, okay, good.
Go Pirates. And Wilmington, North Carolina is also a very beautiful place to be. Wait, no.
East Carolina University?
Oh, yeah.
So that's where they are, Wilmington?
Are they?
Let me
double check.
Oh, sorry.
Let me double check.
I didn't think so, but
I could be wrong.
I think they're in South Carolina.
ECU is in Greenville, North Carolina.
Greenville, North Carolina, okay.
I think I was thinking of UNC Wilmington. So, question also coming in for Dr. Megan. What is the most thrilling thing you've ever found while you personally have been diving?
Me personally have been scuba diving, or me personally have been in a van while the ROV is diving.
You in the water.
In the water. I have dove on a couple, and I think actually the correct terminology is dived, which always sounds a bit silly. Scuba diving in the water, thrilling? Gosh, that's going to take a minute.
You've been stumped.
I know. I'm rarely thrilled. I know exactly what I'm going to go see when I go and see it. And so I equate thrilled with being surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been surprised on any of my scuba dives so far. I've been disappointed when I've been looking for an airplane and found a
Rocks.
gross piece of netting all tied together, or a giant like log or something like that that's been
Or you drop down as low
horrible.
vis, high
Yes.
current, you can't do anything.
Yes, it sucks. So my favorite dives are on a B-24 over in Croatia. In fact, several B-24 pieces that I just really love to dive on those. Off the coast of Croatia around an island of Vis, there's several B-24 wrecks. I did one of them for my dissertation. Sorry, I did 3 of them for my dissertation, but one very well-known wreck, the Tulsa American. I studied it, mapped it for my dissertation, and then later it was contracted out for the excavation, and we were able to the contract team was able to excavate and return some of the remains. But I always felt a special affinity for that project. And then I've dived on another B-24 off the coast of the Solomons. I dove on a German Junkers, which we thought was an A-20. We were told was an A-20, and I would have been thrilled to find out that it was an A-20, but as we were diving it, we discovered that it was a German Junkers plane instead. So that was kind of strange. It wasn't supposed to be there. A B-17 in the English coast was maybe not thrilling, but kind of scary when one of my divers told me that they had lifted up the netting on one of the engines and stuck their hand in before they realized quite what they were doing. And as they were taking their hand away, because you should do that, this giant moray eel was also coming out to kind of say hello and bite their hand off.
Those things are terrifying.
Yes,
Well,
absolutely.
they're terrifying because they have to open their mouth in that fashion to breathe.
But
So-
also
But
still,
yeah, you
also
definitely
still
don't want to get
terrifying.
bit.
They're really thick.
Yeah.
I got
Like-
to follow an eel once on a night dive in Hawaii when it was on the hunt, and it got a fish, and it wraps its body around the fish and then tightens it to break the spine.
Like a snake.
Yeah.
I don't think that helped the back row's perception of a moray eel.
No.
Yeah,
What?
well.
Does
Terrifying.
anybody know what type of eel it is that you get at sushi? Because it's delicious.
I thought those were
Freshwater, I think?
freshwater eels. Yeah.
Okay, so
They
it's not
they are. Yeah. That's
They're really
one of my
good.
You can
favorite
have
types.
mine, Summer.
all
They're-
the
They're
sushi.
lovely. There was also on
What-
that wreck, there was a lobster. So on this wreck, it had deteriorated enough so that the skin was gone, and you could see into the sort of wheel well behind one of the engines on a B-17 because it was upside down. And a lobster had got in there and sort of made it its home a really long time ago, but then grown so much that it really couldn't get out
Oh, right.
anymore. And so we knew that this lobster was kind of sitting back behind this engine just waiting for people to come by, snap, get them.
Do you penetrate these wrecks? Are you wreck diver?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
So, I mean, on an aircraft too, really. Aircraft are tiny, tiny, small spaces. And by
Yeah.
the time that we find them, the sedimentation level has gotten way too high for you to be able to get in there. Also, divers should not get in airplane wrecks. It's ridiculous. Especially if you don't know whether or not it's a gravesite. It's extremely disrespectful. I've seen a bunch of diver pictures where they get it, especially even on inverted aircraft, you get into a position where it looks like you're flying the plane and sort of pose for a picture and look kind of stupid. But no, I would never go into a wreck.
I my dive club based out of Seattle helped the British Columbia Artificial Reef Society prepare a decommissioned Canadian destroyer for sinking as an artificial reef and
Oh.
dive site
That's cool.
and making it diver safe. It was actually it was, you know, it's just fun as a diver to give something back in the off season. However, since my job involves wiring and cabling through vessels, taking a boat apart of that size was super helpful to understand all the cable and deck penetrations and the manners they could be done in. But boy, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. And you can go up and dive the Annapolis in British Columbia now. A fun project. Probably 4 years of volunteer effort.
There's a river aquarium in Albany, Georgia, and they used to do diving classes, and they're
yeah, that's
large.
pretty common.
Yeah, and you could go and dive with the sturgeon and learn how to dive.
Yeah.
They let us dive our ROVs down there, which is always nice.
I was working on the Annapolis. It was just moored. And we were working in the boiler room and taking a valve off the bottom of the boiler room. Somebody helping was. And after he removed the valve, there was just a little bit of water leaking through this pipe. So we called the project manager on radio. And he came down into the compartment, stuck his finger into the water, tasted his finger, and said, yeah, you want to put that back.
Ooh.
There was salt water coming in through the bottom of the boat. It's like, yeah, we'll leave that. But luckily at that point in time, the precious metals market was at an all-time high. And so they were funding the work by having us identify ferrous metal objects and taking them out while the market was high. It's kind of nice too, because normally when I'm working on a vessel, we're super cautious about everything. And here, if we were lifting a 200 or 400 pound valve and trying to get it out, the more stuff it banged into and knocked off, the better. It's completely different from normal work here. Do you guys get down in the engine room on Nautilus? Have you been down there? The SCF, do you get a tour?
Maybe?
You haven't? Yet? Have you been down there?
Maybe in 2015.
I don't think
No,
I
okay.
have.
Right.
I went to the storage area way down there to help get some things like some shirts and swag and stuff like that out there.
Huh.
I don't know
That
if
might
it-
have been
That's
the
the
main
bow
hold.
thruster, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that is no. I think didn't it used to be in the main hold? No, in the.
I don't know. I know they have some space down in the
Have you
bow
been
thruster.
down in Paulie's storage area?
Yes.
Yeah. I put something down there earlier this season. Needed to hide something. It was like a glue was setting. I didn't want anyone to touch it for a couple days. So I shoved it down there. Nobody even knows where that is. Oh no.
We have a question to the group. Has any of us ever seen a great white shark in person?
Nope.
Oh, I wish. I mean,
Hammerhead's
sort
as
of.
close as I got.
I wish.
Nobody?
I don't think so.
Nope.
I
Well,
think they're pretty rare, aren't they?
No.
It's through the
Yeah.
true test. Lonnie.
Lonnie's had to step out for
Have
a
you
photo.
lived in a great white shark?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Lonnie's
lived
back
in a great white shark hostel in Amsterdam.
I'm sure Lonnie's seen one. Lonnie's seen everything and been everywhere. To answer the question that has come in, the Nautilus has dived on all sorts of wrecks, including relics from World War II. I think most recently we were diving on a U-boat in the Gulf of Mexico. Thanks to our viewer who's taken time out of watching their Jimmy Buffett live concert to hang out with us. We appreciate it.
Side 2 is back in her seat. We had a live interaction with the Explorers Club in New York.
Nice.
Sorry
Awesome.
to be gone for a few minutes.
Lonnie, we have a question that all of us have answered no to. However, because of your history having done everything, you're our last hope. Have you ever seen a great white shark in person?
Oh, I'm sorry you said in person. No, I have not.
No?
No.
I don't think many people have.
Wow.
Unless you specifically go to South Africa to
Or
go
Cape Cod.
diving there.
No, I have not.
Or, yeah, Amityville. Amity.
Amityville?
Amity.
I hear they have some scary houses.
No, yeah. It's Amity, right? Yeah, Amity.
Yeah, Amity.
I was up on Martha's Vineyard, man, like 77 maybe, 76, right after they'd completed principal photography.
When did Jaws come out? The 80s?
Right around that same period.
Oh.
77, 78, 77, I think. Maybe I was there in 76.
I think there was a great white reported off the coast of Duxbury a couple summers ago.
Huh.
Duxbury, Mass.
I will say, though,
Yeah.
that
I heard about that.
Quack,
Yeah.
quack.
as great as a film as Jaws is, this is one of two instances I've experienced in my life. The film and the book are completely different. Not completely different, but
As usual.
drastically different.
Hollywood does that.
And both are fantastic. That's the difference there. Both are fantastic. The other being One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest. Book and film, drastically different, but both really stand on their own.
I read and watched that movie in a film study class I took in high school.
Jaws?
Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh. When I was working in Eugene, Oregon, I got to do some work with Mr. Kesey.
Oh,
Nice
no,
guy.
that's not it.
The author.
Here.
As a matter of fact, Trevor's not flying now. I recommended to Trevor to watch Sometimes a Great Notion, and he just watched that recently. Ken
Link.
Kesey was also teaching literature at the University of Oregon in Eugene.
All about University of Oregon, Tracktown, USA.
Yeah. Yep.
Hayward Field.
Yeah, they've just made a bunch of improvements to Hayward Field.
Yeah, they're getting it ready for the championships.
Still, you can still, if you're not into running and running history, you're just half a block away from Prince Puckler's Ice Cream, home of the Euphoria Chocolate Sundae.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that sounds good.
so good.
I don't think that you should use such words when we're stuck in a van in the middle of the
I
ocean.
know, I know. Well, if this was a longer
Ice
leg, you would learn that on Nautilus we get ice cream on Sundays.
Well, I think that we had that on the Sunday that we were out here.
Were we out here on a Sunday?
Yeah, there were ice cream bars.
Ah, right.
saw
There's
that.
always some form of ice cream. I should have known that that was on
They were
a
yummy.
Sunday. It never occurred to me.
No one shared the knowledge.
I did not receive any ice cream.
I did not either.
It's all right, Lonnie. We can be sad together.
Okay.
I was
Bobby
gutsy
Argus
with
ate
that,
them all.
that ice cream sandwich. I took it up and ate it on the bridge deck in the sun.
It melts so fast.
No, I got it. I got it.
You got it?
Yeah. With no napkin either.
No napkin. You're
Yeah,
a brave man.
Yeah.
Living
Technique.
on the edge.
Yeah, living on the edge.
I took it out and was trying to eat it quickly before it melted. And the inside was still so frozen, but the
Yeah.
outside was just falling off
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
Question coming in about, have we seen any interesting fauna at the surface of the ocean? And I haven't seen anything other than some
Marine mammals?
few birds flying
No.
around.
No.
Nothing, no dolphins,
Nope.
no whales, no
But-
manta rays.
We have not been underway.
Yeah.
Well, we had, when was Thor last on?
Oh, when we first got out here, that's it.
Yeah, 4 days ago or something like that. 5, I don't know.
5 days ago. It's been a good bit.
Talk about those fox creatures.
Oh,
Flying
those flying foxes?
Flying
Oh
foxes.
yeah, those are very
amazing.
cool.
I could watch those forever.
They were
Size of
around the
eagles.
ship, right?
They were.
Yeah,
As soon as we got off of the ship and we were walking out of the port and along the sidewalk, they were just oodles of them just flying right over the ridge.
Fruit eaters.
Yep. And nectar. No insectivores, nothing else. They were,
I wonder how much they weigh. They look like they're like 3-pounders or something.
I don't know, that sounds like a job for Google and or Peyton.
Ask Uncle Google.
All right, one sec.
There we go. Thank you, Human Encyclopedia. Summer, what do you call a group of bats? Is that in the book?
Ooh, oh, she's
Stand
thrilled.
by.
I was looking it up, and a group of wild
Ooh.
cats is called a destruction.
Cat.
Apparently,
I don't know about
I
I
don't
bats.
don't have destruction.
It's called
I got
Bat Group.
clutter, litter, clouder. Bats, I got
The colony?
colony or cloud.
Cloud of bats.
That sounds like a nightmare. That's what
Ah.
it sounds like. That went
And Peyton, what'd you have?
2.1 or 1.5 pounds.
Oh,
So you're
what
pretty
weighs that
close.
much? Flying fox. Samoan flying fox, those giant bats.
Oh.
In Palau, they have a delicacy which is bat soup,
Ooh.
which
Yeah.
is not what you would imagine it to be, which was a soup made out of, you know, flesh and or anything from the animal. It's literally a soup with a full skinned, furred, all parts included bat in the soup, which you then have to eat
Oh.
What?
just like it is. Yep.
Oh.
Huh.
Yep.
I would not have guessed that.
Lonnie, you're probably familiar with the very, very unique delicacy
French
soup
delicacy?
from Thailand, yeah?
Oh my goodness. We were at a Chinese wedding one time. Well, I have to back up a little. In high school, my husband was a grade ahead of me, and he was on the student council, and I was being interviewed for the American Field Service overseas program. And we didn't really know each other that well. He looked at me and said, if you were in a country where it was the custom and delicacy to eat spiders, would you eat spiders? And I knew I had to say yes, or, you know, wouldn't pass this particular test. So I said, yes, if I were living in a country where it was the custom and delicacy to eat spiders, I'd eat spiders. So years later, we were married.
He was taking notes.
We were at a wedding in Bangkok. We were seated at the head table, and out came the baby sparrows.
Yeah.
So fried sparrow on your plate, and you couldn't take the whole thing in one bite, so you had to figure out whether to do the head and the beak
Of course, yeah.
or the feet first. And I was contemplating this, and I picked it up and looked at him and said, if you were living in a country where it was the custom and delicacy to eat a baby sparrow, would you eat a baby sparrow? And he looked at me like all these years later that he'd been totally had. He picked it up, and it was a great munch of determination. He chomped through half the bird.
That's great.
Wasn't there a
So
French delicacy that is illegal now where you eat this bird? I forgot what it was.
Don't know. Foie gras?
I don't remember what it was. Like the bird it was so popular, the bird is
Oh,
extremely,
I don't know.
extremely endangered now.
Oh, I think
You know what I'm talking about? I cannot remember the name of it. I mean, it might be French. It might be something else. I could be. My French cuisine trivia is weak at best.
Well, the Norwegians have things that they eat at holiday time that aren't for the Western, aren't for the normal palate, really. It was left over from Viking times. So one is rockafisk. I mean, everybody's heard of lutefisk. Rockafisk is actually rotten fish. And
Delicious.
If after the fish is caught it touches the ground, it's poisonous. So you have to be very careful that you trust the seller
What's
of
that?
the fish. Rockfisk. So one of their other delicacies is half a sheep's head, and that's comes from the West Coast, Bergen. So that's